Hey everyone, Z-Slayer J here, and today we got a ton of PlayStation 5 news. They had a showcase where they finally gave us the price of the console and had actually a few surprise announcements. Some of them had been leaked earlier, but you never know if the leaks are going to be true. So, like I said, there's a ton to go over, so let's just get right into it. They started off by showing Final Fantasy 16. Now, this is the only game that they said was running on PC hardware, simulating the PS5 experience. Everything else it said was actually running on PS5, so just have to point that out. A few things to take away. It was mostly a cinematic trailer. A lot of themes that we've seen in a lot of other Final Fantasy games were present, like the focus on crystals. It seemed kind of similar to Final Fantasy 15. It seems like someone's the shield of a prince. The prince is a phoenix, I guess, and there's a war with another faction, obviously. You know, stuff we've seen in other Final Fantasy games. It looked very dark and gritty, more so than other games. It was lacking a lot of color, and I don't know, just didn't feel like they feel like they could have made it a little bit more vibrant. The environmental details looked really great, but for some reason the character models they looked last gen, honestly. And like I said, this counts for everything I talk about in this video. Graphics are really nice to have, but I'll take a game with poor graphics with great gameplay over something with beautiful graphics with terrible gameplay. So, you know, obviously you want to have both, but, you know, always take gameplay over it. So the character models, they just didn't look as good as the environmental details looked. And I thought maybe it was because the stream is in 1080p. So I watched the 4K trailer after, and it really didn't look that much better, honestly. You know, maybe they were just toned down the graphics more because they didn't want to like show something that was unrepresentative of what it would be on PS5. So they just played it safe. I don't know, but I was really kind of curious about that. I think I don't even know if it gave a release date. I actually just checked. It does not give a release date. So it's probably a few years out. I mean, it's probably early in development. Maybe that's why the character models didn't look as good. They're probably still, you know, working on it. If it's a few years away, obviously, that's probably going to improve. The combat looked pretty similar to Final Fantasy 15. It looked like you kind of teleport with your sword, although it looked like you have more moves, more of a move set. Some of the bosses almost look like other games like God of War, stuff like that, kind of like boss style battles. It looked fun. I'm hoping it's more in depth than 15. 15, you could just spam your sword, teleport, strike, and win every battle, or at least that's how I did it. I'm hoping they go away from some of the things that have held the series back. I've never been crazy about having a limit on damage. I know it's like that in every game. I wish, or they could work around that somehow. Just would like to see some different things in the series. But visually, it didn't look, like I said, it just didn't seem like it was there. But, you know, it didn't really give us too many details, so we'll have to see, you know, like I said, it's a few years out, so we'll have to see how that comes along in the next coming years, or in the upcoming years. Next, we saw Spider-Man Miles Morales, which I have to say, so they showed some story stuff in kind of like the first campaign mission. They definitely took a lot of stuff from the MCU, heavily influenced that, I think. Actually, or not even the MCU, some of the stuff from the earlier Spider-Man movies. I mean, almost like direct like copies of some of the movies. It was kind of funny. Miles' mother is running for office. There are two factions going against each other. One's the Underground, the other one's an energy company called Roxxon. I think the Underground was headed by the Tinkerer. I'm not too familiar with Miles Morales Spider-Man, so I don't really know the villains too well, or his rogues gallery, I guess. So be cool to see some new villains. We saw his powers in the gameplay. He turned invisible at one point, which was kind of cool, and then he had electric attack. It's kind of a super powerful superhero. He has like every power imaginable. You know, that will lead to more gameplay options, I guess. But it's going to be a short experience. They said it was about half of what the original Spider-Man was on PS4. And if you, like when I was playing New Game Plus, I beat it in 6 hours, skipping the cutscenes, which means we're going to get about 3 hours of gameplay, probably another 3 of cutscenes. So if we're lucky, maybe a little less. So it's probably going to be a 5 to 6 hour experience. And, you know, they'll pad it out with all the open world stuff too. But I think 40 is a little bit much to ask for it. I would say 25 would be a better price. But it's going to be one of their bigger launch titles, I think. So it's what they do. They overprice everything. So, I mean, that's nothing new. I just jotted down notes from everything. They definitely wanted to show off the ray tracing at the beginning. They showed a ton of like neon at a festival for his mother. I think she was doing a campaign rally kind of thing. But they definitely were really showing off the ray tracing with the lighting in the beginning, which it looked great. But personally, I'm more interested in the performance mode I heard about, where you can play at 60 FPS at 1080p. I'll take that over the pretty graphics to get more responsive, combat, especially when the action combat, you really want 60 frames per second. I can't believe they didn't get it 4K 60. That's kind of a disappointment. Some other things I noticed, it looks like a lot of the fun moments were just cutscenes. Basically, the villains attack a bridge. Can't remember, what didn't that just happen in another Marvel game? Anyways, the bridge, starts to collapse. You gotta, use your web to bring it back together and save people. But like I said, a lot of the fun moments looked like they were just cutscenes. You didn't get to play them, which kind of sucked. The gameplay looks, it's identical to the PS4 version, which is fine. Other than his new moves added in, but the quick time events and stuff like that, those are all still there to make it kind of look more like cinematic. One thing I noticed, the music was really just didn't fit with the fighting scenes. It was really awkward. I don't know who chose the music, but it just did not fit at all. When they were doing the Mario showcase last week for Nintendo, hearing all that amazing music that they had, what happened to games having good music? Yeah, there are a few that sometimes have some good themes, but most part, it's just like generic background music or really over-the-top terrible music in your face, like in this case. So I miss those days. But yeah, really, for me, it's going to be an instant turn off the music if it's all that bad. Really just kind of ruin the flow of the gameplay. But it's coming out holiday 2020, so like I said, that's going to be their big holiday release, probably. Moving along, the next thing we got announced was a Harry Potter game. It was Hogwarts Legacy, or I guess it's just a Hogwarts game at that point. We've heard a rumor about a Harry Potter RPG for a while. Now, they do have a write-up on PlayStation blog about Hogwarts Legacy, and in the trailer, I didn't see anything about it saying it's an RPG, but it does look RPG-y, so, oh my god, I hope it's an RPG. I gotta say, this is probably the thing has me the most excited. It's Hogwarts in the late 1800s, which is, I think, a really cool time period to explore. The only weird thing was, even though it said late 1800s, everyone looked like they had like kind of modern hairstyles and stuff, which, I don't know, kind of took me out of it. I would have liked to have seen some, obviously they're in robes, but I would like to have seen something more to put it in the time period. It is what it is, I guess. There wasn't too many details, but I did mention a lot about building your legacy. What you do now will define the future of Hogwarts, which is cool, but there's only so much they can do with a story, considering it's kind of like a prequel, so, but it's far enough back in the past where I feel like they can definitely be creative with it. We're going to see some stuff that we already knew about from the Harry Potter series, obviously. This looks great. It looks like there was a villain, kind of a Voldemort-y type of villain. They showed a couple boss battles against him and some other creatures from the Harry Potter universe. It says something about taming creatures. I wonder if that's like kind of a thing you can do, is tame creatures. That'd be really cool. Really interested to see the combat system with how magic works. This is one of those things where they can get so creative with it and make new kind of gameplay design, and I really hope they go creative with it, because this is something that can just be such a fun game. But it looks heavily story driven, which is great. Story driven RPGs, I'll take them all day long. It's coming out in 2021. It didn't say when next year, so I'm guessing it's probably going to be a big holiday release next year. I want them to take the time to make it good. It's WB Games. They have some kind of a checkered past. Hopefully they've learned their lessons with the microtransactions. We'll see. It's a promising game, but you always have to worry about that in the back of your head. Are they going to ruin it with their monetization schemes? So I really hope we just get a great Harry Potter RPG experience, something I've wanted for a very long time. But moving along, we got a COD sales pitch of why you should buy it on PlayStation 5. The guy looked like he was dead inside. He said it with a straight face, and he was just dead in his eyes, just lying straight through his teeth. So anyways, they showed some gameplay of the first mission. I haven't played every Call of Duty games. I'm one of those weird people who likes them for the campaigns. They're just so ridiculous and over the top. I think they're fun. So it showed gameplay of the first mission. It didn't seem like anything different that we haven't seen. It's Call of Duty. It did look fun. It definitely, graphically, presentation looked very good. I really hope it's 60 FPS. It's kind of hard to tell from these videos. There were definitely a few games that looked smoother than others. So I don't know if I mean, they're all, I think, 30 FPS, or the video is 30 FPS. So I'm not sure if you can. I know Digital Foundry has a way of telling, but I personally don't know how that works. But I did, like I said, I did notice some games were smoother than others. Like Final Fantasy 16 it definitely looked like it was 30 FPS or even lower. But some other games did look like they're much smoother that I will talk about. There's some cool things I saw. I think most of the stuff you've probably been able to do in other Call of Duties. Like I said, I haven't played all of them, but some of the cooler things I saw was you can use enemies as shields, like bullet shields, and hold them with your knife while you shoot other guys, which was pretty cool. Had some really cool takedown or melee takedown animations. You stab them with a knife and then shot them with a gun. There was a car chase scene where he's trying to blow up a plane, which was pretty cool. He got an RC car out and he had to drive it to a plane and it exploded it. It was pretty cool. It looks like a Call of Duty experience, over the top action, just stupid dumb fun. I'm hoping it's, we'll see how long the experience is. So hopefully it's a full campaign. It's spread out through a pretty decent amount of time period, like the whole Cold War. So hopefully this is a lengthier campaign than other ones, but we'll have to see. And they did say at the end that it will have zombies, which is great because I love the zombies. And they said also if you pre-purchase it, of course, you can play the alpha multiplayer from the 18th to the 20th of this month. So just a few days from now. They're doing whatever they can to get people to pre-order stuff. It's just, I really, really don't like it at all. Next, we saw another trailer for Resident Evil 8. Didn't really show much more than the last one. It actually showed a few of the same scenes. But like before, it's first person this time. It's very much like Resident Evil 7. I think it's a continuation of it. I didn't finish Resident Evil 7. I don't like the first person view in it. I like the older Resident Evil games. I like the third person or the kind of isometric view in the older ones. And I like them when they're a little bit more action oriented. I don't like the total horror focus, but that's just me. I know some people that prefer the horror focus. They had this kind of cool short fairy tale that they kind of set up the horror vibe. It seems like it's terrifying. It actually seems like there's some really good horror moments. So if you are a big horror fan, this will probably be something you'll really like. They showed like little snippets of gameplay, but it's all like so fastly cut together you can't really tell what's going on. But they just said 2021 for the release for that. Next up, we got another trailer for Deathloop, which we do know has been delayed, so it's probably not coming out anytime soon. It kind of reiterated on the stuff from the last trailer we got, but it showed a little bit more of the gameplay, or just like a different level. This time loop, you have rival assassins. You have to focus on killing targets in the same time loop. Like he kept talking about he had to kill 2 targets in the same time loop. I wonder if it's kind of like a roguelike, because it looks like you try and perfect how you go through the missions every time you die. It's an interesting idea. It said there's 8 targets you go for. They're all, and these people are trying to go for eternal life, and you have to stop them, I guess. It said Q2 2021. It said PS console exclusive. I'm sure it's a timed exclusive. I did not read the fine print on that, but I did read it on the other ones. Next up, we got Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. It didn't really say what is different about it. I'm guessing if I didn't play it, I'm guessing if there's, I didn't think there was I guess all the DLC will be included. I don't know. Now this one, the gameplay looked very smooth, and they had a 4K trailer, so I'm guessing this is 4K 60. Like, it looked much smoother than the other games. So, and you kind of need the 60 FPS in an action game like that anyways. But it's going to be a digital launch title for PlayStation 5. I'm hoping, really hoping people won't have to rebuy this new version to get the PlayStation 5 version. They didn't say anything about that. I really don't like when they don't give those details. I just hope they don't force people to buy a new version just so they can play it on PlayStation 5 with the, better features. That'd be really just crappy of them. But I wish they said, like, why is this version better? Is it just the same thing as the PlayStation 4 version, just a higher resolution frame rate? Like I said, there's really no detail, or what extra comes in the special edition. They really say anything. Next, we got another trailer for Oddworld. I've never played them, I guess, so I really don't know too much about them. It looked really fun. It looks like there's some quirky humor, and it actually got a chuckle out of me. The little his buddies. They said you escaped the place, and now your adventure is kind of just beginning. Yeah, like I said, it just looks fun. I don't really know too much about it, but it's something I'd be interested in checking out. Next, we got another Five Nights at Freddy's trailer. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. The visual design looked much better than the other games. Lots of neon. It really seemed like it was trying to show off ray tracing, I think, but I'm not sure on how to tell the difference between that or just regular lighting. They've been historically pretty bad games. They're just games that people on YouTube scream over. They're not really great games. I'm sure this one's just going to be bad like the other ones. But the guy who made them is laughing all the way to the bank. So, I mean, I saw a story about him. Like, people kind of made fun of his games for being, like, really, really bad. And then one of his bad games just happened to take off, and now he's probably pretty rich. So, sometimes you just get dumb luck in life, I guess, whether you really deserve it or not. Next up, we got a bigger look at the Demon's Souls remake. I think a lot of people are misremembering what Demon's Souls was. It wasn't a very good game. It was really clunky. There was really terrible AI. Some of the level design wasn't that great. But this remake looks good. The combat looks much more fluid than before. There's some really great animations. Obviously, they couldn't do that back on the PlayStation 3, but even for a PlayStation 3 game, it was pretty lacking. I'm hoping it's 60 frames per second. The AI looked a little better, although it didn't look too great. They showed the opening sequence, which is cool to see. I almost didn't recognize it at first because it was just visually so stunning. And this is a good example of where, it's kind of like those dark gray browns type of colors, but they found a way to kind of make it more vibrant. And really good on Japan Studio and Bluepoint on making that. Bluepoint does a great job. I'm hoping they really improve the game. I mean, the game needed some help, so I'm hoping they give it the improvements they need to make it a good game. But I mean, that kind of remains to be seen. But like I said, this looked smoother than any other From Software game. Like I said, better animations. They didn't have any HUD up, which I think is just presentation. Usually, a lot of companies did. They did that for Ghost of Tsushima too. It's kind of, I really don't like that. You want to see like a proper representation of what the game will be like. I know it's been a year or two since I've played Demon's Souls, but it looked like the enemies died faster than I remember. Like, a lot of them died in one hit, and I can't remember if they died in one hit. Just like the generic trash enemies. Oh, big point I noticed at the end is it's a limited. No, they said in big bold letters, PlayStation 5 exclusive, except in the small fine print at the bottom, it's actually only a limited time console exclusive. And it's coming to PC. So it's probably year exclusive on consoles, and I'm hoping we get a PC release at the same time as PS5. I would definitely take it on. I mean, imagine being able to play like a Demon's Souls or a Dark Souls like game at an actual high frame rate. That'd be incredible. Because they've all been locked to 60 even on PC because of the really poor engine that they used. Yeah, I'm hoping they. Oh my god, I can't imagine they cap this at 60 FPS. That would be in 20. I don't know if it didn't say when it's coming out. I hope they improve the frame rate and get something higher than 60, especially on PC. That'd just be completely unacceptable. But like I said, this one's a big risk. I would wait for reviews before buying. Like I said, if you haven't played Demon's Souls and you've played the other Dark Souls games, it's different than the Dark Souls games and Bloodborne. I don't know if they change it to kind of bring the gameplay to their more current style, but it is like the actual like gameplay loop is different. It's not hugely different, but there is some pretty big differences in some areas. So watch reviews beforehand. I think there's going to be some people who are big Dark Souls fans that might not be as much of a fan of Demon's Souls unless they change it, which I think they said that they were going to enhance it in some ways. So like I said, it wasn't that great of a game when it came out. I'm hoping they get it to the point where it is now a good game. Next, we got a Fortnite trailer. I mean, who cares? Next, they showed a montage of PlayStation 4 games, and apparently PS Plus members have access to these games at launch on the PS5. So it definitely seems like they're really trying to push people to the PlayStation 5. Some of these PlayStation Plus games that they actually gave away in PlayStation Plus already, so a lot of people already have them, and they're like the biggest games of the last generation. So most people probably already have them or pick them up on a sale for like a couple bucks. So it is like a really weak attempt to try and compete with the Game Pass or Xbox's Game Pass. So too little, too late, Sony. I mean, come on. Next, they showed a really big close-up of the console. They kind of like zoomed in, showed the ports and stuff. And then we finally got the release date and pricing. It looks like November 12th is going to come out in a few territories like US, Canada, Mexico, Australia, and then the 19th is going to be the worldwide release. I don't know why they're just not launching it on the 12th everywhere. I don't know. Maybe it's something new with the pandemic, but I mean, I wish everyone would get it on the 12th. And then they gave the pricing. Unfortunately, it's kind of not great news. So it is going, the version with the disc drive is going to be $500. And then the version that's digital only will be $400. Now, they are both the same console, just one has a disc drive and one does not have a disc drive. The fact that it's $100 less for the digital version, they want people to buy that one. And I think there's going to probably be massive shortages on the disc version, and I think a lot of people are going to have to settle for the digital one. They want people to go digital only. They make a way bigger margin on it, and people don't actually own their games digitally. Instead, when you have a physical copy, you actually own the game. And with digital stuff, you have to worry about stuff being pulled from the storefront. When you have the physical copy, you always have it. Yeah, stuff can happen. So the physical copies too, nothing is ever perfectly safe, but I feel better with the physical stuff. And that way you also have the option too, because I'm probably going to buy some games digitally also. So you just at least have the options. Another $100 for it? That is insane. I think it should have been real. I mean, it's pretty underpowered compared to the Xbox Series X for the same price. It's kind of disappointing. I think it should have been $400 for the disc version, $350 for the discless. Worst case, $450 for the disc one with the disc drive. $500 is really pushing it, but I mean, Sony kind of almost has a monopoly on gaming right now because they have, even if stuffs aren't permanent exclusives, you still have to wait, however long before it comes to other platforms, even PC. Depending on the game, and they have a really good collection of single player games. I don't think any one thing is necessarily must play other than God of War, but they're still, of at least average or good quality, which we don't even see that in third party development really outside of a very few select games. Next, we got the big surprise announcement, which really didn't tell us anything at all, but they announced God of War Ragnarok. It is coming out next year. They didn't say when, and it was really just a teaser trailer. It was like the Elder Scrolls 6 trailer we saw like at E3 2018 or whatever. Told us absolutely nothing, but I mean, we all knew it was in the works. I didn't think it was going to come out this soon, which has me a little worried. I think it might be lacking in content. We'll have to see. They obviously they have the battle system made and they can reuse some assets. So obviously the development could be quicker, and Sony Santa Monica is a great studio. So I hope we get a very high quality experience. I hope Sony didn't force them to rush through something and just push it out because for sales. I really hope not. We'll have to see. That, like I said, I feel like that was the one must-play game on PlayStation 4. I'm sure this one's going to be great. I just hope it's a full experience and not a shortened one. But again, they gave us no real details, so it remains to be seen. Next, they did a montage of all the games they showed with some really terrible music. Kind of the running theme, a lot of really bad music. I don't know what happened. The older games, we just had such good music, and now it's just terrible. Or, like I said, just background music. Forgettable background music. I don't know what happened. But anyways, that's everything they announced. I say of everything, I mean, obviously God of War, I'm skeptical, but I'm still hopeful that it will turn out well. Like I said, it's a really short turnaround time. I hope it lives up to the last game. We'll have to see. And like I said, they didn't show us anything, so we'll find out. But the other thing I'm really looking for, the Harry Potter game looks awesome. Like I said, they didn't really give us any details. I'm going to, not get hyped, but I really, really want a great Harry Potter RPG or Hogwarts RPG or whatever. Remains to be seen what it will be like. But, everything else we mostly knew about. Other Final Fantasy 16, I mean, of course, they're going to make another Final Fantasy. I mean, I'm pretty sure they'll be making another Final Fantasy to the end of time at this point. And I like the Final Fantasy games, so, I mean, I'll probably play it too. We'll see. Just some real quick final thoughts. This marketing campaign Sony has been doing has been just a total mess. There's still some details that we really do not know about the PlayStation 5. And it's less than 2 months away from launch. It might be a week before release before we really find out about everything. We still haven't seen the UI, so we're gonna have to wait for probably another event to see that. We didn't really see any more of Horizon Zero Dawn, which I think a lot of people will probably be disappointed about. The $100 extra price for the disc drive is really bad. I don't like that at all. I mean, it's good for the people going digital, but even still, I feel like that's a little overpriced. I would like to have seen some updates to trophy hunting. I know not everyone does that, but there's still a big community that does. For some reason, there's no tracking on trophies right now. Xbox has been doing it forever. I don't know why they can't add that feature in. And as far as the UI goes, I'm wondering if they're having some issues with the software. You know, they're supposed to be able to launch single player or multiplayer instantly. I would really like to see that in action, see if that isn't actually a true claim. Earlier in the video, I talked about Demon's Souls coming to PC and other consoles. Sony is saying that was a typo, a human error. I don't buy it. Maybe it won't come to Xbox, but I do think it will come to PC. They did the same thing with Death Stranding, so I'm sure it's gonna come to PC at some point. But, you know, it will probably be like a year or maybe even longer. So I'd like to know down in the comments how you guys feel about this reveal. Is there anything you're excited for? Did you get to see the games that you wanted to see? Was something missing? How do you feel about this marketing campaign? Do you like the price? Like I said, I don't really feel too crazy about it. We still don't know anything about backwards compatibility, really. I've seen a ton of conflicting information. I would have loved to seen some more on that. That's really disappointing that they just need to really give a firm details on what backwards compatibility how that will work, if it will enhance the games like it will on Xbox. Really would like to see that. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to like it and consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it, and I'll see you all in the next video.